Worlds competitor playing against Argentina just has a spectacular grassroots community as well that we'll talk about in a moment. For now, let's look at Jeremy's team.
Yeah, Jeremy bringing a different team from the last 2 weeks. This time going a bit more with the Armouche in DD set, and as we see as well, Jeremy has quite a few accolades as well. 2 World Cup of VGC competitor, Asia Players Cup top 4, the Philippines Nationals finalist as well. And now this team is of course great because I see a Galate there.
Yeah, the Galate. I was busy seeing the Armouche and Ndidi and preparing for like the onslaught of offense from that direct dimension, but having I've never gotten to see a Galate on a stream yet. The sharpness is such an interesting ability. Having that wide guard option, there's again so much damage, but from such a different angle than we saw in the previous games. It's now all about Trick Room, not Tailwind.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen a few different things that we don't see that often. No Protect on Armouche, opting more to go for the Aura Sphere this time around, just making sure that you are able to hit those target types, those pesky dark types that are able to just not be affected by Expanding Force. And we even have an Ursaluna with Crunch this time around.
Yeah, some spectacular, really interesting like niche picks of movesets. I think also I don't normally see Trick Room teams that have 3 different Trick Room setters. That's
true.
Like a really hard commitment, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Something we didn't mention is that the past 2 weeks, Jeremy has brought Tatsugiri Dondozo. And so his opponent might be preparing for something completely different and could just get totally caught off guard with not just Trick Room, not just 2 Trick Rooms, but 3 Trick Rooms and a bunch of interesting coverage moves alongside that.
They never expect a third Trick Room. That's the hidden detail there. Also, Urshifu Dark this time with a Scarf set, but with Taunt, interestingly, just to make sure that you're able to, a fast Taunt. That is nice, of course. You will be locked into that move, but sometimes you have these teams that really like if you can just shut down some things, shut down Aurora Veil, for example. That is something you can do also with the Switch It from the Torkoal, but sometimes you need that Urshifu with a Scarf Taunt there.
Yeah, I think that Scarf Taunt is just something that's a really interesting move. It doesn't always, it's not the first choice that players have, but you often have that move slot free on a Choice Scarf Pokemon. I've used it before. It just seems like it works so much better than you'd think it would on paper. And especially from a Pokemon that can't be priority taunted itself, especially in Psychic Terrain, it seems like an interesting way to have another angle of control on the game. It'd be interesting to see if it shows up.
Yep, exactly. So that was Jeremy's team. Let's take a look at Juan Pablo's team, bringing this time around the Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Tornadus, and Landorus. A bit more of a standard team, but look at those accolades as well.
Yeah, some amazing accolades here from Juan. Buenos Aires Special Event Top 8, Special Event 2 Top 4, Costa Mesa Regional Top 16, and a 2x World Cup of VGC competitor, which I really want to highlight because I believe he's been one of the mainstays on the team. And Argentina just has a spectacular grassroots scene. They've been top 16 in both of the previous World Cups run by Victory Road. They're just really spectacular as a team, and I'm really interested to see they might be able to go even farther than top 16 this year. So I think sometimes it's easier to miss the awesomely strong grassroots players on a team, and I'm really excited that we get to highlight this one here.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of going on here. We have the Ogerpon, of course, being one of those new Pokemon introduced in Regulation E. This time with the Fire Ogerpon with the Hot Flame Mask, meaning it will get a attack raise when it goes for its Terra. But something that I haven't seen quite in a while, a substitute Fluttermane. Well, I haven't seen it personally, but a substitute Fluttermane has always been interesting to me because it's such a fast Pokemon and you just don't want it behind the sub, and it opting out to sub over then protect. And if you catch it at the wrong time while it's going for a protect and you're doubling in with the Fluttermane, that means the other Pokemon is just free to do whatever it wants.
Such a cool choice, especially with the grassy terrain recovery, to be able to just keep using that substitute. You can sort of see the influence. I think that Juan was very much ready to be facing Tatsugiri Dondozo, and definitely made some adjustments to be able to handle that. That substitute Fluttermane really strong in general, but Dondozo would hate going against that, especially with the constant grassy glides from Ogerpon and Rillaboom. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out against, instead of Dondozo, a really hard Trick Room team. I think there's going to be a lot that revolves around whether Rillaboom's terrain gets to be set up or Ndidi's, and I think that's going to be really important to watch throughout this game.
Yeah, that's a absolutely great point you make there because of Grassy Search, of course. Being able to remove that Psychic Terrain, making sure that no expanding force will be heading to Pokemon there. We have the Urshifu Water this time, but let's take a look how they will deal with this as we have the Landorus and the Fluttermane lead versus the classic Armrouge and Indeedee lead.
Sort of two classic leads at this point, I think. Like Fairy plus Ground, lots of damage versus the terrifying double Trick Room set or Psychic Terrain setup. And it's going to be interesting. I don't think we saw a lot of ways for Juan to be able to stop Trick Room. There's a lot around speed control in a different direction. But maybe with that special attack boost from the Fluttermane, not the speed boost from that booster energy, there might be some damage coming out from Juan. Maybe this Trick Room is going to cost a little bit more than Jeremy was bargaining for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, of course, with Indeedee and Armrouge. You can always go for the Flame and then Trick Room with Armrouge, but sometimes you gotta be cheeky and sometimes instead of Trick Room with Indeedee and just go for the offense with Armrouge as well. Landorus itself, of course, being a Scarf variant here, making sure that it can go for any sort of damage, but it is just going to be the Follow Me, just making sure that this Indeedee will take any sort of hit that will be coming out from these two Pokemon, as we do have the U-turn from the Landorus doing quite a bit of damage to this Indeedee.
Yeah, that's some awesome damage from that U-turn. This Indeedee might be going down this turn, depending on what that Fluttermane used. And Juan gets to bring in a Pokemon that's maybe better suited to Trick Room. I think the big thing for me is going to be if that Rillaboom hits the field now, as the Indeedee faints, that could really swing things in Juan's favor, even if this Trick Room goes up. I think that having that option to use Fake Out, especially with Substitute on Fluttermane, might allow this Trick Room to be stalled out. Although, Fluttermane's not going for the KO, it's just starting with the Substitute right off the bat.
Yep, going for the Substitute, making sure that it is protected. It has the Grassy Terrain to heal itself as the Trick Room is up from this Armrouge, meaning this Indeedee live another turn, but you have now the potential to Fake Out and use those priority moves that you love using so much as well. Trick Room, of course, does invite Armrouge to be quite offensive still, because it still has like its array of fire moves that you can use, even though the Expanding Force isn't there. Still quite strong Pokemon, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Juan's managed to get the terrain in his favor, but that's only square one versus an Armrouge and Indeedee combo. And there's definitely some options to switch out and switch back in and threaten that Expanding Force later. Armrouge really with any attack is going to be doing a lot of damage, but I think it's interesting to see like Juan set up, having a Substitute up, and Fake Out pressure, and no Psychic Terrain just by the second turn of this game. And I wonder if he has a plan for getting through the next few turns of Trick Room, because eventually it's going to run out. And then there's a lot of damage from one side of the field.
Exactly, as we do have a switch in here to Torkoal this time around, going for the drop, meaning Heat Wave's power is boosted, but let's see what this Rillaboom might be doing. We have the Terra activation here, could most likely be that Rillaboom going for that Terra Fire and making sure that it will be able to struggle any sort of Heat Wave coming out, even if it is sun boosted. If this is still an Assault Fest Rillaboom, still have to respect it, of course. Fluttermane being behind the sub, getting no damage at all, meaning it is free to go for any sort of damaging move there as well. Critical hit, but it is on the Substitute, so not doing all that much right now. Substitute faded, no biggie. It's time for Fluttermane to dish out some damage.
One of the really nice things about Substitute, just having that extra control against the variants. We do see the Woodhammer go up, maybe hoping to catch something other than that Torkoal, but the Torkoal now can't go for full health eruptions. That's really useful. And this Shadow Ball, going to just finish off that Torkoal. That's awesome. That was going to be such a huge threat from Jeremy's side of the field, but we do have Indeedee able to come back onto the field now, and this Expanding Force is going to hurt.
Yes, exactly. There's no more Substitute, meaning, and the sun is still up for this Armrouge. So maybe Jeremy thinking a little bit more of the long game. Okay, yeah, my Torkoal is gone, or even my Armrouge is gone, but I am able to bring back this Psychic Terrain right now, which might be a bit more important because you don't want any other sort of priority moves. Rillaboom actually not even going for a priority move, just going for the raw damage with Woodhammer, thanks to that boosted terrain as well. And now Indeedee is just able to help out Armrouge here. Armrouge is just being able to go for a very strong Expanding Force if it wants to. It can't even go for its Terra as well, making it Terra Psychic, I believe. And the Indeedee, honestly, just in a great position because she can helping hand that, and not really any Dark-type Pokemon to switch in here.
Yeah, there's definitely a lack of Expanding Force switch-ins, and I think that's a lot of what Jeremy's game plan is this first time around. I think being able to set up even just one turn in Trick Room to do that Expanding Force, that if that's 2 KOs, that really gives a lot of options for Jeremy's side of the field. And it's going to be interesting to see Juan has a choice now, not about avoiding what Pokemon faint, but just to choose which Pokemon faint. And it's going to be important to see what the choice is here.
Yeah, it's looking like Landorus will be the choice here, as we see switching in. Fluttermane does, of course, have the option of Protect. Most of the time we see a lot of choice specs. Intimidate going off on these two Pokemon, not really minding this, as the Terra is coming through, meaning this Armarouge will go from strong to super duper strong, because this is Terra Psychic in a Psychic terrain as well, meaning whatever is in front of it and not resisting, this will hurt you a lot. Helping Hand as well. Oh. Wait, we did see Protect? We did see Protect from Fluttermane. Oh no, we did. Oh, I forgot that Helping Hand goes before that. Oh my god, I was stressed out there.
Juan's light flashed before our eyes, but no, the Fluttermane protected itself. So it's just ridiculous overkill. I was just laughing earlier at the Helping Hand, the Terra Psychic, the Psychic Terrain, the boost for Expanding Force. This Landorus fainted all three, like, it's fainted in game 2 at this point now as well. That was so much damage.
It's been future sighted as well. It is gone. But now, with the Landorus being gone now, that gives the opportunity, of course, for the Rillaboom to come back, making sure that the Psychic Terrain is gone yet again. But you're still in this terrain. You still have the Fake Out option there. You still don't want to take any moves from this Armarouge, really. So, looking at the positions and how many turns of Trick Room you still have. Turn 1 Trick Room was set up. You still have these few turns that you are able to decide what to do. And it's quite critical to make the exact right decisions right now.
Absolutely. And I think Juan's been doing a great job of making the right decisions. Sure, Armarouge did a lot of damage, but you can only knock out a Pokemon once, really. I was joking earlier. And so Armarouge getting just 1 KO now and already losing the terrain, and there's only 2 more turns of Trick Room. That's really well played by Juan. I think having the Substitute and the Protect from the Fluttermane just to get as much momentum as possible. And with the Indeedee on the field, it's going to take a couple of turns to set up that Expanding Force again. I feel like Juan's just handled this really well and is able to stop the Armarouge from going for an attack at all this time.
Yeah, the Fake Out going into at Armarouge, making sure that it's not able to go for any moves here. Follow me from the Indeedee, just making sure to redirect any sort of move the Fluttermane might be going for, but this time around Fluttermane not going for any moves, just going for that Substitute, being safe and sound behind that right now, giving it ample opportunity for next turn to stall out this Trick Room with a possible Protect, and even make sure that it is still able to dish out as much damage as it can.
I really love how Juan is playing this game. I think it's easy to think of Grassy Terrain just as having an effect in terms of cancelling the Psychic Terrain, and that's the main thing it's doing. But allowing that recovery where Fluttermane is just, every turn is just using Substitute or Protect, like it attacked once, I guess, but just alternating those defensive moves until there's that one moment where Trick Room is no longer up, that's such a powerful option to have, especially because this Indeedee, it stayed on the field, and so there's definitely no chance to set up Psychic Terrain now for an Expanding Force. All this Armarouge can do is go for Heat Wave, I suppose.
Yeah, Heat Wave, of course, being decently strong. It is still in the sun, but this Rillaboom is still a fire type. This Fluttermane is behind a Substitute. What do you do in this case? The Heat Wave is coming out. There was no Helping Hand there, meaning this Indeedee went for another move as the Substitute does feed with the sun, thankfully hitting both targets there as well. Losing bits of its HP of the already powerful move. The Dazzling Gleam coming out and absolutely doing no damage to either of these Pokemon as the Rillaboom is able to U-turn, just positioning itself a bit better, making sure that it was able to come back in for another Grassy Terrain, putting up Grassy Terrain, should this Indeedee have switched out.
I think that's one of the really interesting things about Rillaboom versus Indeedee, is Rillaboom has so many tools for switching, especially with that Landorus as well, having the U-turns earlier. And so this Ogerpon, now in position, but also just as importantly, there's the option to have that Rillaboom later. But that Indeedee's gone now, so no more worries about Psychic Terrain, and I think that's the last turn of Trick Room as well. So we've gotten out of Trick Room, and now Juan has truly the scariest defensive threat you could imagine, a potentially Terra-able Ogerpon Hearthflame in the sun.
Yep. Of course, Ogerpon right now does have the Mold Breaker ability. Can't just go for an Ivy Cudgel right now on his Armarouge, but as we saw how much damage that Dazzling Gleam just did from this Fluttermane, I don't really think you need it. The Scarf Urshifu, of course, does threaten a bit of one of these Pokemon at least, but either one of them can deal significantly amount of damage to Jeremy's side of the field.
It's really awesome to have that Urshifu in the back, though. I think that's a really interesting insight into Jeremy's potential strategies going forward into future games. Juan played to this one moment of being outside of Trick Room, but this Urshifu is actually in a great spot now. It can totally knock out the Flutter Mane. That said, the Ogerpon definitely has its pick of a KO here, and that's a really strong position to be in, especially when that Urshifu is choice locked, and so it can be hit by Fake Out later.
Yep, we saw the Wicked Blow come out. That means Ivy Cudgel time for the Sound Rouge, making sure that at least goes down first. Still in the back, we know that this Urshifu is Scarfed, and we have Rillaboom with a Fake Out as well, ready to just clap on this bear and make sure that this Ogerpon is just able to hit this very hard as well with an Ivy Cudgel possibly, or even a Grassy Glide if it wants to go for that little bit of chip more.
Urshifu would be in a great position if we could just actually attack, and it no longer can because of that Fake Out. Important note that Ogerpon actually was in a better position without having Terra and letting the Rillaboom be Fire type because of that Ivy Cudgel going through the Flash Fire. I'm not sure if this will be a KO this turn, but there's just too many Pokemon for this Urshifu to finish off at this point, as this Ivy Cudgel goes in and does so much damage to this Urshifu, and Urshifu can KO either of these Pokemon maybe, but definitely not both. So that's going to be bringing us to game 2.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing Juan made very good plays there, going with the switches with the Rillaboom. The Grassy Terrain was such a significant bring here. Jeremy not really trying to deal with it, but like switching out DD, going for the Torkoal, just like throwing it out there, making sure that a possible another Psychic Terrain could come later. But unfortunately, Juan was just so well prepped, honestly. How they will adapt in the next game, as we will soon begin with that as well.
Absolutely, the question of the hour. Will we see the Gallade? Will we see another way of setting Trick Room? It looks like we're seeing a different fighting type. It's almost as cool, that's okay. Indeedee coming out next to the Urshifu, which is in prime position to stop this Flutter Mane now that Jeremy knows the booster energy won't be speed, it will be special attack, and that was such a crucial piece of information last time to know that the Choice Scarf Urshifu is in position now.
Yep, exactly. Photosynthesis activating special attack is up. It is a powerful Flutter Mane, but it is slower than this Urshifu, thanks to the Urshifu Scarf, of course. Indeed, still being in the prime position of being able to put up Trick Room, but you do have a kind of an awkward position right now. You can just U-turn with the Urshifu, but that means Flutter Mane and Landers are just free to do any sort of damage that they want to do. And do you really have a Pokemon to switch in instead of that Urshifu?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting position that Juan has, just in terms of like the flexibility of Flutter Mane Landers as a lead. He's not committing particularly intensely to any certain lead from Jeremy. He can just do a lot of damage in a lot of different ways. And there is this Wicked Blow threat, but it's possible that Juan has some way around that, or even just like having burned the Terastallization means the Armor Rouge is doing a little bit less damage later.
Yeah, I don't feel like the Armor Rouge needs it, but this right now, this Wicked Blow, this will start to hurt right now as the Urshifu is powering up its Dark move right now with the Choice Scarf, as we do have the Terra from Juan's side as well, which will probably be that Flutter Mane going for the Terra Fairy, meaning it is resisting this Wicked Blow, but Wicked Blow is wicked strong, so I'm not sure about this. Like, it depends. Like, a lot of times I see Wicked Blow do crazy things, so let's see what it does this time around. Wicked Blow into the Flutter Mane, not KOing it, fully Fairy type, meaning it is strong and it is surviving as the Landers does go for the U-turn. Again, a lot of damage to this Indeedee, but Indeedee does have the potential now to go for a possible Trick Room. But this Flutter Mane right now, with the special attack base, with this Indeedee low and this Dark Urshifu, is looking in a prime position as well.
It's definitely a gamble here that I think Jeremy's hoping that Urshifu goes down to the Flutter Mane's attack, and then you can start making use of the Trick Room turns that you have. But if that Flutter Mane's able to get the KO on the Indeedee, I'm not sure if that's possible, but it did get that special attack boost and it did Terra Fairy. This Indeedee really has to survive here in order for Jeremy to have a chance going forward, and it doesn't! That's 2 KOs, no Trick Room setup, Terra burned. Jeremy is not in a great spot, being down a game already.
Ooh, this is looking rough right now. Jeremy losing 2 Pokemon in 1 turn. Just amazingly played by Juan. Flutter Mane, of course, because it was able to survive that, is absolutely great for it. Now you have to switch in your 2 Pokemon versus this Rillaboom, which already we've seen, like, the Grassy Terrain is up, so your psychic moves are doing less damage, and this Rillaboom has the potential to fake out one of these Pokemon. We do know that the Armouge doesn't have Protect here either, so the inability to really put up Trick Room doesn't help, as the Terra has been burnt as well, so a lot of resources suddenly lost by Jeremy in turn 1 here.
Yeah, I think particularly not having that Protect on the Armouge really changes this turn, because we know that Fluttermane has an incredibly powerful Shadow Ball can throw out. The Rillaboom is free to use Fake Out. So Jeremy can do a lot of damage with whichever Pokemon doesn't get hit by Fake Out, I suppose, but it's definitely quite tough to keep the resources in play to be able to handle the 2 Pokemon in the back. That Landorus has got to be so excited to see 2 Fire types on the field, if it even needs to be used here, because that Shadow Ball is just a straight up
wow, yeah. The Armouge is going down, of course. It is super effective. Armouge is a great Pokemon, but that is still Fluttermane. U-turn coming out into the Torkoal, just doing a bit of damage there, meaning it can switch out now to another Pokemon. You do have the Landorus possibly to switch in, but this will still be taking quite a strong Heat Wave there, but the options in the back are still there, as the Ogerpon is actually switching out, going for the neutral with the Fire Grass typing, might be able to take this quite well. Well, it's an eruption actually, but okay, not well, but it is surviving at least.
Yeah, and you don't need to survive it well, you just need 1 hit point to be able to do damage later, and I think that Ogerpon being able to throw off some Sun Boosted Ivy Cudgels next to its pick of a Pokemon that can just keep using Fake Out, or a Landorus that can start going for Stomping Tantrums, feels like Juan has a lot of options for finishing off this Torkoal. It's probably not an easy Pokemon to finish off, but 3 Pokemon can handle almost anything.
Yeah, exactly. The Torkoal not really having a lot of options here. Being the sole Pokemon also on Jeremy's side, you know, you do have the story of the turtle and the hare, but this turtle doesn't seem like he's gonna win this time.
Yeah, the tortoise was able to beat 1 hare, but not 3. That's asking too much to the Torkoal.
It's too much to beat 3 of them, as the Fake Out going on into the Torkoal, just damaging as much as possible, as Ogerpon got those. Wow, I'm flabbergasted. Just Swords Dance, it is gonna be Sun Boosted. I just want to see how much damage this does. This is an Ogerpon. Like, this will hurt, even if you're resisting and you're a Torkoal, this will still hurt.
Yeah, I don't think Torkoal's very excited about the rest of this game here, especially because, I mean, you can take out these 2 Pokemon, but you don't need to knock out the Torkoal here, you just need to get it in range of Stomping Tantrum, and oh boy is that in range of Stomping Tantrum later. Woodhammer might even pick this up.
Oh, yeah, Woodhammer just did it.
Wow.
Alright. Wow, okay, so amazingly played there, Juan. Just showcasing, like, he knew the matchup, he knew what to adapt to, even though he might have been